Why appraisals matter, what an aircraft appraisal is, and what it is not. Hello, this is Forrest Owens. I'm an aviation lawyer, a private pilot, and an FAA licensed airframe and power plant mechanic. So let's begin with the most important point about aircraft appraisals, because it is also the point most often misunderstood. An appraisal is not the airplane's value. It is a professional opinion of value on a stated date for a stated purpose, built on stated assumptions. That distinction matters enormously on large turbine aircraft. When people say the jet is worth $40 million, they usually speak as if it were a fixed property of the machine. It's not. Value changes with market conditions, maintenance status, program enrollment, records quality, damage history, legal title, engine conditions, configuration, and the purpose for which the value opinion is being prepared. Remember this, on a large turbine aircraft, their appraisal is not a number floating in space. It is a conclusion tied to provable facts. The current legal and regulatory framework help explains why. The FAA does not issue a general license for aircraft appraisers, and it does not publish an official private aircraft price list. But the FAA heavily regulates many of the facts that determine aircraft value. Section 91.417 requires maintenance records. Section 91.419 requires certain records to transfer with the aircraft at sale. Part 39 governs airworthiness directives. Section 91.409 establishes the inspection program framework for large and turbine-powered aircraft. And Advisory Circular 43.9C explains in plain language that maintenance records are necessary to determine the airworthiness and status of aircraft condition and should be closely examined before purchase. So, the appraisal profession may not be FAA certified as such, but the underlying facts are often FAA regulated. That is why a credible aircraft appraisal is always partly a records analysis, a maintenance records analysis. Large turbine aircraft raise the stakes. A piston aircraft may have meaningful value swings. A large or super mid-sized turbine aircraft can have valuation swings in the millions based on engine status alone. Program enrollment, remaining life on major inspections, LLP exposure, APU condition, avionics compliance, ADS-B status, cabin completion quality, corrosion, prior damage, and even the continuity of the logbooks can materially change value. This is also why owners need to understand the difference between a desktop valuation and an inspected appraisal. A desktop analysis may be useful for a quick internal estimate, early financing discussion, portfolio review, or planning. But on a serious turbine transaction, the number is only as reliable as the inputs. If the appraiser has not physically inspected the aircraft, has not reviewed the logbooks in depth, and has not confirmed maintenance program status, and has not reconciled damage or component history, the client may be relying on a number that is precise in appearance and fragile in substance. A desktop value can be useful, but it's not a substitution for truth. On large turbine aircraft, truth lives in the records, the inspection findings, and the market. There is another misconception worth correcting. People sometimes assume there is one correct value. In practice, there may be several defensible value opinions depending on intended use. Fair market value for a sale discussion is one thing. Orderly liquidation value for lender risk analysis may be another. Insurable value serves a different purpose. Charitable contribution value has its own tax law substantiation rules. Property tax valuation can be a separate fight altogether. If the engagement does not identify intended use and the intended user clearly, the appraisal can mislead even when the appraiser is competent. This is where current appraisal standards matter. Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, USPAP, recognizes that appraisals are purpose-driven assignments. And federal tax rules for charitable contributions expressly require a qualified appraisal be prepared by a qualified appraiser in accordance with generally accepted appraisal standards. In other words, context is not decoration. Context is part of the legal sufficiency of the valuation exercise. Now, consider how this plays out with a large turbine jet. Suppose an aircraft has clean title, current inspections, full records, and engines on a strong OEM-backed program. That aircraft may trade in one band. Now change only 3 facts. The record has gaps. A major inspection is approaching and prior corrosion or damage repair is not well documented. The aircraft may still fly and it may still look beautiful on the ramp, but its market value and financeability or a loan, whether a loan can be originated on it, can shift sharply. That is why my approach is that an appraisal is not simply a pricing exercise. It is a risk transaction exercise. The appraiser translates technical facts, documented facts, and market facts into a valuation conclusion. In short, the importance of aircraft appraisers begins with an understanding of the real function. On large turbine aircraft, an appraisal should never be treated as an attachment to a deal file. It is often the clearest professional statement of what the market is likely to believe once the facts are fully known. I'd like you to take this away and remember this. On a turbine aircraft, value is not what the owner hopes or what the broker says or even what a spreadsheet shows. Value is what survives inspections, records review, and market comparison. Thank you for your interest in this topic. This information is provided for informational purposes only, and it should not be construed as legal advice. Questions are certainly welcome. Please direct them to admin@aviationlegalcounsel.com. We look forward to helping you navigate these questions and issues with precision.